Today, we're diving into Streets of Rage 3 on the Sega Genesis, a game that pushed the boundaries of the beat-em-up genre with its fast-paced action, deep mechanics, and complex narrative. Released in 1994, this sequel aimed to top its predecessors with more characters, enhanced gameplay, and an ambitious story. Whether you're a fan of the series or new to the streets, join us as we explore what makes Streets of Rage 3 a fascinating chapter in retro gaming history. Hit subscribe to join our gaming adventure. Streets of Rage 3 took the classic beat-em-up formula to new heights with several innovative gameplay enhancements. The game introduced a faster combat pace and a more complex combo system, allowing players to unleash a flurry of attacks unlike ever before. New to the series were special moves that could be executed without sacrificing health, dodge mechanics, and the ability to run, giving players unprecedented control over their fighters. This sequel also introduced multiple endings, influenced by the player's choices and performance throughout the game, adding significant replay value. Characters could now also use weapons more dynamically, including the ability to juggle enemies with repeated strikes. Streets of Rage 3 was not just about brawling. It was about mastering the art of street fighting with a depth that challenged both newcomers and series veterans. Developing Streets of Rage 3, Sega aimed to elevate the series by leveraging the Sega Genesis hardware to its fullest. The development team, once again led by Noriyoshi Oba, focused on refining the combat system and introducing more complex narrative elements. Yuzo Koshiro returned to score the game, experimenting with an automated composition program to create the soundtrack, resulting in a unique, albeit controversial, sound. The developers also increased the game's difficulty and incorporated hidden characters and paths, ensuring that Streets of Rage 3 would offer a fresh experience even to those familiar with the franchise. Streets of Rage 3 features a darker and more intricate plot than its predecessors. The game revolves around Mr. X's sinister plan to replace key city officials with robot clones, aiming to control the city from the shadows. The original trio, Axel, Blaze, and Skate, are joined by Dr. Zahn, a robot with a conscience who turns against Mr. X. Together, they uncover the plot and fight to stop Mr. X's syndicate once more. The narrative delves into themes of corruption, surveillance, and the consequences of unchecked power, setting it apart from the more straightforward stories of earlier entries. The game's multiple endings, depending on player actions and success in certain levels, offer a narrative depth and variability that was ahead of its time for beat-em-up games. Streets of Rage 3 expanded the roster with the introduction of Dr. Zahn, who replaces his muscle with cybernetic prowess, and secret characters like Rue, a boxing kangaroo, and Shiva, Mr. X's henchman turned playable. Each character brought unique abilities and playstyles, from Axel's balanced skills to Blaze's agility, skate speed, and Zahn's powerful electric attacks. This diversity allowed players to experiment with different strategies and team compositions, especially in co-op mode, making each playthrough feel distinct. The memorable cast not only added to the game's appeal but also to its legacy as a pinnacle of the genre. The soundtrack of Streets of Rage 3, composed by Yuzo Koshiro and Motohiro Kawashima, took a bold new direction with its experimental and avant-garde approach. Utilizing an automated music generating tool, the composers created a soundtrack that featured techno and industrial influences, aiming to match the game's faster pace and darker tone. While the music was a departure from the melodic beats of its predecessors and divided fans, it nonetheless contributed to the unique atmosphere of Streets of Rage 3, complementing its intense action and futuristic setting. The sound effects continued to deliver satisfying feedback for every punch, kick, and special move executed. Graphically, Streets of Rage 3 showcased significant advancements over its predecessors, with more detailed and fluid character animations and diverse, vibrant backgrounds. The game's visual style reflected its darker narrative, with neon-lit cityscapes giving way to more ominous and varied environments. Character sprites were larger, and enemy designs more varied, enhancing both the aesthetic appeal and the gameplay challenge. The use of color and light effectively conveyed the mood of each level, from the eerie underground labs to the bustling streets, making Streets of Rage 3 not only a high point for the series but also for the Sega Genesis library. While Streets of Rage 3 may not have achieved the same iconic status as Streets of Rage 2, its ambitious approach to gameplay, story, and music has earned it a dedicated following and respect as a cult classic. The game's complexity, depth, and challenge have influenced subsequent beat-em-ups and action games, showcasing the potential for narrative and mechanical sophistication in the genre. Today, Streets of Rage 3 is celebrated for its daring choices and is recognized as a significant, if polarizing, chapter in the evolution of video games, inspiring developers and players to push the boundaries of what games can be. Streets of Rage 3 remains a fascinating exploration of how far the beat-em-up genre can evolve, blending intense action, a compelling narrative, and innovative gameplay mechanics. Its legacy is a testament to the creativity and ambition of Sega and the developers who dared to innovate within a well-established formula. For those who appreciate the blend of challenge, strategy, and storytelling in their gaming experiences, Streets of Rage 3 is an essential play. And remember, for more retrospectives on the games that defined our favorite consoles, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join us on another nostalgic journey.